Tom, thanks. Latest information now, we are finding out that they are moving the athletes as they said they would for the events today. They will be competing today. And we have a report now from Steve Avison, who is actually at the Olympic Village. Steve?
Mike, I just talked to the executive director of the Olympic Village, Steve Cattell. They have been in executive session for the last 45 minutes deciding how they're going to handle things. Earlier this morning, just after the bomb explosion, they locked down the Olympic Village. This is already possibly the most secure spot inside the Olympic ring. They locked it down. No one exited, no one entered for a couple of hours early this morning. That lockdown was lifted about 45 minutes ago, and Steve Cattell tells me that athletes are going to be going forward today. Many of them are organizing already. Some have been going to venues out in the equestrian area, which is in Conyers. And coming up on the Today Show at 7 o'clock, the man who perhaps best symbolizes the passion and the drive to deliver a peaceful and loving Olympic Games, Billy Payne, will join the Today Show for a report from here in the Athletes Village. Mike, back to you.
Steve, thank you very much. Now, of course, it was just yesterday that the government said that it appears beyond a shadow of a doubt now that Flight 800, the TWA flight that exploded off the coast of Long Island, was some sort of act of terrorism. It appears now that they're just looking for the final pieces to be able to put all of that together and to call it that. They certainly have indicated it is. When that happened here at Hartsfield Airport, they went to a level 3 plus, sort of, somewhere between level 3 and level 4. Bill Liss is out there now. Bill, any word on whether they'll go ahead and take it all the way up to a level 4 out there?
Well, the level of security right now, Mike, is the same that it's been since October of 1995, which is the level 3 that you just mentioned. However, now in the security areas leading out to the concourses, we are using what is known as the CTX 5000 machine. This is a special catch scanner. There are only 3 of them in the United States. 2 of them are here. They are designed to pick up plastic explosives. Right now, the FAA is meeting with the airport officials to determine whether a level 4, which is security that was during the Gulf War, it should be up to that. But right now, it is level 3. Everyone's allowed to go out to the gates, but hand luggage is being checked very, very carefully. Corey Stitchcock, who's here at the airport with Ogden Services, what do you think? You heard about what happened. What do you think? You've been working out here for some time.
This is the only chance the world gets to come together, and it's just too bad that this has to happen in my city. I just think it's a very bad thing that happened because this is only a one-in-a-lifetime thing for it to be in Atlanta.
Well, certainly what Corey's saying is shared by so many people out here, especially the people running the airport. We expect 220,000 or more people today. That's as many people as come out here on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So it is one of the busiest days of the year. Mike?
All right, Bill. Now, when I was talking about level 3 a moment ago, I called it a level 3 plus, and you have indicated that there are some things that took place that go above and beyond just the straight level 3.
That's correct. This means now that anyone who is coming through security will have all of their hand luggage subject to very careful inspection. Now, this also means if you have any gift-wrapped gifts that you're taking out of the city, please, folks, don't seal them up because they'll most likely will be opened. All jewelry, all keys should be immediately put into the bins. Most of your areas outside of the security area where people normally would stop and sort of converse or maybe put things down have all been sealed off, so you will not be able to stop anywhere near that security area. Leave extra time because that area is still being very carefully scrutinized. But as of right now, if you're carrying hand luggage, you can expect to be delayed and things to be taken a very careful look at.
Thanks very much, Bill Liss at Hartsfield Airport. Of course, we've been getting information throughout the evening. Our last figures indicate 110 people have been injured. 2 people are dead. And following the results and following the people who have actually been taken to the hospital, Kevin Rosen is over at Grady Hospital now. What's the latest there?
Well, Mike, the doctors here at Grady Hospital are now saying that there were 35 patients in all brought in here. One of those 35 was dead. They described him as a middle-aged male. Said there was no evidence of any shrapnel wounds that they could visually see on his body, that he quite possibly died of a heart attack. Most of the other injuries were not that serious. There you see pictures of that man, the man who died, being brought into Grady Hospital and paramedics working on him frantically. There were 2 other patients who were taken into the OR, and we were told by Dr. Gail Anderson, Chief of Staff here at Grady Hospital, that it was quite possible they could take as many as 3 more into the OR. Everyone else is pretty much in pretty good condition, and many of those will be released, we are told, sometime this morning. Most of the wounds were described as shrapnel wounds. Dr. Anderson said they found pieces of glass and pieces of metal and other things, and a lot of scrapes and bruises. But again, 1 person confirmed dead here at Grady Hospital, 2 that are still in the operating room, and quite possibly 3 more could go in there. The rest are all doing well. Mike?
Kevin, thanks very much. One point here, Tom, before we throw this back to you just to make, and that is that on this day before all of this took place, we were doing stories yesterday about the fact that this weekend there are 12 competitions taking place in 7 venues, all near downtown. We've been talking about that people had been using MARTA, our transit system here, and had really been jamming it up, and the highways have been empty. Well, yesterday the highway started to fill up, and then we had all of that problem going on. So they said today would be a real test, and if the downtown started to jam up, that they would actually close off areas around downtown. Now it appears we'll have areas around downtown closed off. We're looking at a live picture now of that tower where the explosion took place. You can see part of the little flap there. There are plastic sheets that are actually around the outside edge of that tower, sort of plastic tarps that protect the edges on the different floors. 24 by 24 each one of those floors is, and 40 feet high. And the explosion apparently took place down at the base. We can see on the left-hand side there at the bottom of your screen where the explosion apparently took place. We saw the knapsack or bag or whatever it was that the NBC photographer had gotten a picture of just as the crew was being moved out of there and seconds before it exploded. The video that you're looking at now are some of the people who are security people, the thousands of security people who are here in Atlanta as a part of our games to be sure that everything is on the up and up. These are the soldiers that we heard about just a moment ago. National Guardsmen in our area taking care of and protecting everyone. They've been told, as we just heard a moment ago, to not only turn it up a notch, to turn it up a couple of notches to make sure that everyone is safe. Just how far-reaching all of this will be, Tom, we don't know. And combined with the traffic of people going to Olympic events today, this is going to be a very sad and interesting day. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Mike Landis of WXIA, which is our NBC affiliate here in Atlanta. They've been out on the streets all night long, and of course, this is the city with which they're the most familiar. NBC's Jim Gray is standing by. He's in the heart of Atlanta at the headquarters of the Atlanta Committee for the Olympic Games, and not too far from Centennial Park, in fact, in a hotel overlooking that park, the most fabled athletes at these games, the members of the American Dream Team. Jim, you have some additional information for us on that?
Yes, I do, Tom. I have some information. I just spoke to Rod Thorne, who is a member of the USA Basketball Committee, a very influential man, also the VP of Operations for the National Basketball Association. And I just got off the phone with Rod, and he told me and confirmed what his wife had told us a couple hours earlier. All of the Dream Team members are safe back in their hotel, as well as all of their family and their friends. Now, Rod Thorne had a meeting with many other members of the Committee of USA Basketball at 4:30 a.m. That meeting just broke up a short time ago. He says, as of now, to the best of his knowledge, he has confirmation that all of the Dream Team players will be staying here in Atlanta and will continue with the games. He says that could be subject to change, but as of now, everybody has committed to stay. Now, they will bring in some psychological counselors for the family, the friends, as well as the players. They will be meeting with them at the hotel, and they will get to that once this morning gets underway. Of course, the Dream Team had a game last night, and I don't believe they're scheduled to play. I may be wrong, but I don't think they're scheduled to play again until Sunday, so things certainly can settle down between now and then. On another note, Tom, this building right here, the ACOG building, it's been their headquarters basically since the inception of the committee. It had been closed. It was reopened for the press conference. It was closed. ACOG employees were being turned away. Now many of them are being let in. However, we have not gotten any official word from ACOG. The word earlier was to call your supervisor. Now it appears as though many of the people who had been outside are now being let into the building, and it has been swept and clear through the security experts. Tom?
Jim, it seems to me that one of the problems that they're going to have with going forward with the games today, they're going to, obviously they're already at the Olympic Stadium and they're moving out to the various events. The equestrian event is at 8:30 this morning. But the Atlanta Committee for the Olympic Games has depended so heavily on volunteers, and I would think that that's something they're going to have to look at pretty carefully as these games begin this morning after this long nightmare of this evening.
I think that's an excellent point, because a lot of these people are volunteers. They've been given their uniform, and they've been given just the ability to say that they worked on the games and the pride that goes in that, and it's a very prideful community. You've got to wonder, however, of the army of volunteers, how many of them are going to be scared? How many of them are going to want to venture back down here? This type of thing, it doesn't happen in Atlanta. In fact, it doesn't happen really any place, but certainly it's very foreign to this community, and it's not something that even in people's wildest dreams, and even though it was in the back of people's minds, I don't think that anybody ever really believed that anything like this could happen. Well, now it's happened, and now you have all these volunteers and employees, the employees themselves of ACOG, many of them to be terminated August 15th. So, you know, if they're scared, and justifiably so, I think all of us here downtown are concerned as to whether this could repeat or whether, in fact, there is anything you can do to secure this area. So you're going to just have to wait and see, all of us will, just to see if this staff, the paid staff, the volunteers, and everybody else, in fact, shows up to continue and finish these games.
Thanks very much, Jim Gray, who is outside the ACOG, that's the Atlanta Committee for the Olympic Games today. Of course, these are all individual decisions, but it's important for you to know that there is no indication whatsoever that this is any kind of a widespread conspiracy. In fact, all of the initial circumstantial evidence is that this was a single act, probably of a single person, using a very crude but effective pipe bomb at Centennial Park, which was the least secured of all of the areas that exist in the greater Atlanta area. It went off at 1:25 this morning. Whether there was a warning, we don't know. They are examining a 911 tape. It is bound to have a psychological impact on all the people who are competing in these games, the people who have come here to watch them, and of course the good people of Atlanta who have tried so hard to put on these games and to show the very best of Southern charm and hospitality to the rest of the world. And that includes thousands of volunteers who are awakening this morning to this very traumatic news. We want to tell you as well that Atlanta, we're going to go now to the Olympic Stadium. Track and field will be getting underway before too long. The lights are on as dawn begins to break across Atlanta. And there's a flag at the other end. You can just barely see it. No wind today, almost ideal conditions this morning for track and field. But that is a mute reminder of what we've been through now for the last 5.5 hours. The flag's already lowered to half-staff, the Olympic flag, as they will be at all venues, and there will be a moment of silence for this wounding event in the middle of the night. 2 people killed, 110 injured, and the games will go forward. That's an aerial view now from our blimp. It's been a kind of an overcast day here in Atlanta. Track and field got underway last night. A very heavy weekend. 22 sporting events today. Some 60 medals, 60, will be awarded today in various venues around the greater Atlanta area, beginning this morning at 8:30 with equestrian events, which are taking place, I think, this morning in Conyers, Georgia. NBC's Matt Lauer is at Olympic Village this morning, a heavily secured area where athletes have been up most of the night, I would guess, Matt, and some of them have already left for their competition.
I think they have, Tom. Good morning, first of all. This is not an area right behind me that is very busy at this time of the morning. It's the International Center in the Olympic Village, as you just mentioned. It's where the athletes spend their off hours, but of course, at this time of the morning, athletes who are competing today have probably, gotten up and gotten something to eat, and they're off to the venues. Something interesting, though, I was over at the International Broadcast Center where you are up until about 4 o'clock this morning, and then made my way over to the northwestern corner of the Olympic Village where the Today Show set is located. It's a route we take almost every morning at this time, at least we have for the last 10 days or so. During the route, we pass 2 major security checkpoints just along the road, probably no more than a quarter of a mile from us here. There has been a change in security here. I wouldn't call it an overwhelming change in security. It's more subtle. The first checkpoint we come through is usually manned by 3 or 4 young people. For some time in the past week, they were young people, I believe, from Germany, didn't speak English all that well. At that time, what they would do was to look at the windshield of the van we would travel in for a sticker that allowed us access to this area. This morning, the only difference we could see, there weren't more of them there, but they did look inside the van and ask each of us for our individual credentials. Then as we got closer, there is another security booth here that's usually manned by DEA agents or local police. They were very tight-lipped about whether they'd been given any specific instructions after this explosion, but things are very quiet here. We hope they stay that way. Tom, back to you.
Thank you.